Hello friends, good morning. This is Professor Girish Atnikar from Department of Mechanical Engineering, Angli Institute of Technology and Management, Belgavi. I welcome you all for today's session. So in today's session we will be studying regarding torsion of shafts. It is module number 3 from Finite Element Analysis 17ME61. Okay, so when we say torsion of shafts, it is very much similar to the bars what we have studied in the module number 2. Right, finite element formulation of bars and shafts. There are minute differences. What are those differences that we'll be noticing first? Then we'll be checking out what are the major changes in the formulas and how to deal in detail with the finite element formulation of shafts. So first of all, we need to know that a shaft is nothing but it is a bar with circular cross section, right? So it is nothing but a bar with circular cross section. So I have listed few important points for you. We'll just go through that. So the finite element formulation of circular shaft is similar to that of axial members. So by saying axial members, I mean it is bars in this case, right? The only difference is the stiffness matrix and load vectors are derived by replacing, right? So axial rigidity A into E, so this product we call it as axial rigidity. It is replaced by torsional rigidity G into J. Distributed axial force is replaced by distributed torque, and if there is any concentrated axial force, that is point force, if there is any point force, then it is replaced by point torque or concentrated torque which is concentrated at one point only, that we call it as concentrated torque, right? So these three are the major changes which we need to notice and which we need to make a note of, right? AE is called as axial rigidity, it is replaced by GJ, and rest two things I already told you. Now what are the important formulas which we need to know in order to go for the analysis of shafts, right? So let us go through that. So I have listed down few formulas. In the first case, it is stiffness matrix of the element subjected to torsion or stiffness, right? In general you can just call it as stiffness. So the matrix is given by K is equal to G into J divided by L, 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, right? Where J is pi d raised to 4 divided by 32 and J is called as polar moment of inertia. The unit of J will be mm raised to 4 or meter raised to 4. So it depends upon what is the unit of diameter in the given problem. If it is mm, then the unit will be mm raised to 4. If it is meter, then it will be meter raised to 4. Now the major change is here in this point, right? G into J. For bars we know we have been following A into E by L, 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. But here that AE is replaced by G into J. So axial rigidity is replaced by torsional rigidity. That was my first point. Axial rigidity A into E is replaced by G into J, and that is what is visible in this formula, G into J. Now the second formula is how to find shear stress. So it is G into R divided by L minus 1 1 theta 1 theta 2, where theta 1 and theta 2 are angle of twists. G is modulus of rigidity or shear modulus. Now why we get this angle of twists? So whenever you apply some torque, right? Whenever you apply some torque, suppose this is a shaft, right? So this is the shaft. If you rotate it from this end, then somewhere intermediate, if you fix it at one end and if you try to rotate it from the other end, then somewhere in between you'll be having a twisting action, and because of that you will be getting this angle of twist. So in the problem of torsion of shafts we will be mostly finding these angle of twists and shear stresses, right? So how we are going to do that, that is what we are going to look further. So G is called as modulus of rigidity or shear modulus. So directly we'll be starting with a problem. Fine. So you can just go through this problem statement. So he has given us a solid stepped bar of circular cross section which is subjected to a torque of 1 kilonewton meter at its free end and a torque of 3 kilonewton meter at its change in cross section. Determine the angle of twist and shear stress given that Young's modulus is 2 into 10 raised to 5 and modulus of rigidity is 7 into 10 raised to 4. Along with that, he has given us this diagram. Right, now first thing is, whenever this diagram is given, we need to draw the finite element formulation, or you can also call it as element diagram. Okay, so there are two sections, so I have drawn two elements. So I have placed three nodes, 1, 2 and 3 in red ink. So number 1 and number 2 are nothing but elements. T1 and theta 1 are torque and angle of twist at node number 1. T2 and theta 2 are torque and angle of twists at node number 2, and T3 and theta 3 are torque and angle of twist at node number 3 respectively. Right, so let us start with the problem. This is what he has asked us to find out: the angle of twists and shear stresses. Right, so to start with the problem, the first step will be find individual stiffness element matrices. Right, you have to find the individual element stiffness matrices. Fine, so first step is K1 is equal to G into J1 divided by L1. This subscript is 1 is because it is indicating it is for the first element. So if I just go on putting the values, 7 into 10 raised to 4, J value I need to find it out separately, so I have done it here. Pi d1 raised to 4 divided by 32. The value of diameter is given in mm, 100 mm. Right, so you can just check it out, it is 100 mm, and because of that I have taken it as 100 raised to 4, so it comes out to be 9.817 into 10 raised to 6. If you replace it here, and length of the element was 200 mm, if you simplify this or resolve this, outcome will be 3.43 into 10 raised to 9. Also you need to write the associated angle of twists for the first element. For the first element, the associated angle of twists are theta 1 and theta 2, right, and that is why I am writing theta 1 and theta 2 with red ink. Right, it is going to be very helpful when you are going to find the combined or global stiffness matrix, so it is very important that you write it. Right, similarly K2, same formula, J becomes J2 and L becomes L2. J2 I have find it here, 50 raised to 4, this is the value of J2. If you just replace it here, simplify everything, it comes out to be 0.107 into 10 raised to 9. Right, now you know how to find out global stiffness matrix because we have been doing it since a while. You have done it for bars, you have done it for trusses, now it is, we are acquainted with this, the same procedure you need to follow. Right, so after doing the global stiffness matrix, I'll be getting these values. Right, so you just note down the values. Also request you to perform this calculation personally, that is merging of these two stiffness matrices in order to find this global matrix. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Right, fine, so if you are done with this, if you have noted this, I will be going for next step. So next step will be step number 3. So our step number 3 will be, we know that from FEM formulation K into theta is equal to T. Okay, now K into X is equal to F is what we have been studying since first class. K into X is equal to F, where X was displacement. Since here the moment is a rotary moment, we are considering it as angle of twist, so X is replaced by theta. Force vector F is replaced by torque vector because we are going to apply a twisting moment, right, so torque vector. Now rewriting this global stiffness matrix, along with that theta matrix is theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, T1, T2, T3. Now it is very important that you write the values of T1, T2, T3 correctly. Now T1 value is 0. Why T1 value is 0, I will let you know. Right, now you can just check it out. T1 here, is there any torque at the free end? No, he has not shown any torque at the free end, so T1 is 0. At the second node, he has shown a torque of value 3 kilonewton meter. I have taken it as 3 into 10 raised to 3 into 10 raised to 3. Now the question may arise, why 10 raised to 3 into 10 raised to 3? See, reason is simple. Diameter is in mm, length is in mm, whereas this moment what he has given it is in meters, so I need to convert it into mm. So 1 meter is 1000 mm, right, so that is the reason I have multiplied it by 10 raised to 3. Second 10 raised to 3 is because it is in kilonewton, right. So the torque what you are going to note in the characteristic equation, it should be in Newton mm, right. So the unit here comes out to be Newton mm. Same thing for the third one. At node 3 it is 1 kilonewton meter, so it is 10 raised to 3 into 10 raised to 3. So applying boundary condition and using elimination approach we get. So you know how we are going to use the elimination method, because we have been using it since the module number 2, the first class when I started with bars. So here the fixed node is node number 1, so that is the reason theta at node number 1, I have taken it as 0. Right? Theta at node number 1 I have taken it as 0. So after putting theta as 0, I need to eliminate the first row and first column. So I have eliminated first row and I have eliminated first column. So remaining things I need to take care of. 3.537 into theta 2 minus 0.107 into theta 3 is equal to 3 into 10 raised to 3 into 10 raised to 3. This 10 raised to 9. This is very important. You should not forget this. That 10 raised to 9 comes here. If you resolve this, if you simplify this, you will be getting 3 into 10 raised to minus 3. Right? Similarly, minus 0.107 into theta 2 plus 0.107 into theta 3 is equal to 10 raised to minus 3. Right? So if you solve these two equations using your calculators, we will be getting two values of theta 2 and theta 3. And it is very important that the outcomes will be in radians. It will not be in degrees. So be careful, write the units correctly. And the last step would be finding out the stresses in each element. So the formula is tau 1 is equal to G into R1 divided by L1 minus 1 theta 1 theta 2. So G value we are knowing, L1 is 200, he has given us in the problem. Now R1 is nothing but the radius of the first element. First element is here and diameter is 100 mm, so radius should be half of that, that is 50. Right? So it is 50 minus 1 200. Theta 1 is 0. Theta 2 I have got the value here, so same thing I have written it here. So if you resolve this, simplify this, you will be getting tau 1 is equal to 20.405 Newton per mm square. Similarly for stress number 2, the formula is slightly going to change. R2 and L2, that is the change. G is going to remain same, and here it is theta 2 and theta 3. Why theta 2 and theta 3? I am going for shear stress number 2. Shear stress number 2 is for element number 2, and for element number 2 associated theta are theta 2 and theta 3. That is the reason I have taken theta 2 and theta 3. Right? So 7 into 10 raised to 4. Diameter of the second element was 50 mm, and now we need to take radius as 25 divided by 400. If you resolve this, you will be getting tau value as 40.88 Newton per mm square. So that's it. That is what we have been asked to find out. So there are few more problems of different varieties on torsion of shafts which will be seeing in our upcoming classes. So that's it for today's class. Thank you. Do subscribe my channel, share it with your friends. If you have any doubts, please comment it, or you can also contact me in my personal window. Thank you.